Why do so many people believe that the Bible talks about aliens? And why does this idea spread so easily, even among people who have never seriously studied Scripture? In this talk, I want to do two things. First, I want to show you where this theory comes from. And second, I want to explain why it is so attractive, even though it collapses the moment you examine the text carefully. Let's begin with the core claim. The theory says that the Bible is not really about God. It claims that what we call God is actually a group of non-human beings, advanced entities, visitors, aliens who supposedly interacted with ancient humans. According to this narrative, for thousands of years, people misunderstood the text. And only now, only in the modern age, are we finally seeing the truth. This idea feels revolutionary. It feels forbidden. And that is precisely why it works. But here is the first thing you need to understand. This theory does not come from biblical tradition. It does not come from Jewish interpretation. It does not come from rabbinic teaching. And it does not come from serious biblical scholarship. It comes from outside the text. It is imposed onto the text. The entire argument rests on a single linguistic claim, one word, a word that appears very early in the Bible. That word is Elohim. In Hebrew, Elohim has a plural form, and from this fact the theory draws a dramatic conclusion. If the word is plural, the argument goes, then the beings it describes must also be plural. And if they are plural, then they cannot be one God. They must be many beings, and those beings, the story claims, were aliens. At first glance, this sounds convincing, especially to someone who does not know Hebrew. It sounds like a hidden grammatical secret that scholars have been hiding for centuries. But this is where the theory begins to fall apart, because Hebrew does not work the way English works, and it never has. In biblical Hebrew, plural forms are not used only to indicate number. They are also used to express intensity, greatness, majesty, and honor. This is not a rare exception. It is a structural feature of the language. Let me give you a simple example. The Hebrew word Adon means Lord or Master. It can refer to God, and it can refer to a human being. Now here is the key point. In many biblical passages, a single person is addressed using the plural form Adonim, not because there are many lords, but because that one Lord holds great authority. The plural is used to express power, not quantity. This happens repeatedly throughout the Bible. Kings are described this way. Masters are described this way. Figures of authority are described this way. No one reading these passages seriously would ever conclude that these figures are actually multiple beings. The same applies to other Hebrew words. Take behemoth, for example. The word is grammatically plural, and yet it refers to a single creature. A powerful one, a terrifying one, but one nonetheless. This brings us to the most important passage of all, the opening line of Genesis. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. In Hebrew, the verb created is singular, not plural, always singular. If Elohim were truly meant as multiple beings, the verb would necessarily be plural as well. But it is not here, not anywhere else. This alone settles the question. The grammar of the text itself tells us that Elohim refers to one acting subject, a subject described with a plural of majesty, not a group of extraterrestrial engineers. This is not a theological opinion. It is basic Hebrew grammar. And this grammar was understood long before modern debates, for centuries, by Jewish scholars scribes, and interpreters. So the real question becomes this: if the argument is so weak, why does it spread so easily? Why do so many people want to believe it? That is where things get truly interesting. To understand why this theory spreads, we have to stop looking at the text and start looking at ourselves. Because ideas do not spread only because they are true, they spread because they satisfy a desire. And this theory satisfies several desires at once. First, there is the desire to believe that we live in a unique moment in history. We like to imagine that the past was blind, that people before us were naive, that they lived in darkness while we finally live in the age of light. According to this mindset, everything ancient must be misunderstood, and everything modern must be more advanced. So when someone says, everyone for thousands of years got it wrong, but now we finally understand, that message feels intoxicating. It makes us feel special, chosen, smarter than those who came before us. The second desire is distrust of traditional authority. In the modern West, institutions are no longer trusted by default, religious institutions especially. So the idea that priests hid the truth or religious leaders manipulated the text fits perfectly into a pre-existing suspicion. It allows people to say, they lied to us for centuries and now we finally see through it. This is emotionally powerful, even if it is intellectually weak. There is also a deeper psychological layer. Many people are deeply fascinated by conspiracy theories. Not because they are logical, but because they give meaning. A conspiracy suggests that the world is not random, that someone is in control, that there is a hidden order behind the chaos. For some, aliens replace God. They become powerful beings who explain the mysteries of existence without demanding moral responsibility. And this is crucial, because believing in aliens who created humanity is much easier than believing in a God who calls you to change your life. Aliens may experiment, they may manipulate, but they do not judge, they do not demand conversion, they do not ask for humility. Then there is another factor that is rarely discussed openly. These theories often carry an ancient suspicion, the idea that Jewish tradition has been hiding something. The suggestion is subtle but persistent. They knew the truth. They kept it for themselves. They deceived everyone else. This pattern appears again and again in history, and it never leads anywhere good. It allows people to feel enlightened, while dismissing centuries of scholarship as a coordinated lie. But there is one last element that truly completes the picture: the audience itself. Many people who accept these theories have difficulty distinguishing between different kinds of narratives. They confuse myth, fantasy, science fiction, and sacred text. That is why you often hear the claim, the Bible is just fantasy. Ironically, this shows a lack of understanding of fantasy itself. Fantasy has its own rules, its own logic, its own literary identity. The Bible does not function that way. Its structure, purpose, and worldview are entirely different. Yet the same people who call the Bible fantasy often have no trouble believing in aliens hidden in ancient grammar. This contradiction is revealing. At the core, there is not malice. There is ignorance. Ignorance that becomes dangerous only when it joins with pride. The conviction that I know better than every scholar, every rabbi, every interpreter who lived before me. These theories offer a shortcut. They allow people to feel knowledgeable without doing the hard work of study. And this is why they spread. Not because they are true, but because they are comforting. They allow us to reshape reality to match what we want it to be, instead of submitting ourselves to what reality actually is. So the real question is not, are these theories convincing? The real question is how much do we truly want the truth? And how much are we willing to let the text speak for itself, even when it challenges our imagination? That is the question each of us must answer. Thank you for listening, and may God bless you.